As you can probably tell from this video and some of the things that I did while, doing this guitar, it's not really necessarily by the books around here. This is more of like a DIY, ethos. So if you're not into that, that's okay. But it's the kind of stuff that I like to do. I don't like rules. I like to figure things out as I go. And this is the Artcaster, the Deco Strat. What else did I call this thing? The Blackburst. I got a couple different nicknames that I've given this thing over the last couple weeks. This is one of my Stratocasters, and what we're doing on this one is going to be replacing the bridge and replacing the input jack with black hardware. So I swapped the neck out on this guitar, and it's got black hardware on the neck and all black finish without, with the exception of the Sunburst. So I feel like doing all black is gonna look pretty sweet. So how we're gonna do this is we're gonna pop the strings off of here and then take this off, and I'm not sure if we're gonna have to solder anything or not. I don't know if it's like grounded to this or not. I don't think so. And then once we have this off, we'll take a look at these springs. These are pretty old springs. They're like 20 years old. But I do like them. I know I had to put, these ones I think are the older ones. Those are the newer ones. So I've got extra springs if we need to replace those, but I don't think I'm going to be honest. So we'll get started by popping the strings off. One of the other things that I'm gonna have to do for this guitar once I get the bridge replaced is I'm gonna address the truss rod as well. So we can go over how to do that. But what I like to do first is just loosen up all of these strings here. Really no science to this. Just, you want them loose before you cut them so they don't snap you in the eyes. So I haven't done this for a while. I feel like next I should probably just pop off these springs. Probably be careful doing this, but I'm gonna just take a needle nose. They just kind of sit in there. So if you see like this little hook on the spring, if you just grab it, you could just pull it out. And there's not much tension here. These are pretty loose, so it should be okay, but sort of like working my way across here. And there's no strings on this either, so there's no tension. So we'll set these aside for now. And then, yeah, actually the ground goes to this little, I forget what this is called, but it holds the springs to the body so it can put tension on the tremolo, so when you put the little whammy bar in there, you can, get the cool noises or whatever. But let me grab my screwdriver. So these screws are gonna go on a different guitar, but I do want to check to make sure that these are the same, or at least close thread patterns to the ones that I got for this other bridge here. Well, it doesn't look like it. They're not the same size. This one's shorter, but I feel like that's okay. Shorter would still work. Longer would be more of a question, because it's like you don't want to go through the body, but okay, that's all the screws. So these ones, I'm going to set these aside because these are going to go with the bridge to my other guitar. So I'm going to put that with those. And this kit does come with a new, God, I can't remember what the hell that's called, but all of the stuff that you need, the springs, and then let's go ahead and pop this out real quick. So it's the first time that this bridge tremolo has been out of there. I don't know if you could see, get all that rust and gunk from years of use. So it's off, and yeah, there's no need to really do anything with this. You know, I am putting a whole nother Strat together. It doesn't have any of this hardware on it, so instead of popping this off, putting a new one on, there's really no reason. I'll just use the new one for the other guitar because they're the same thing. So let's see what this is going to look like. What brand this is? OVSAL? I don't know. This was sort of like a middle of the road option on Amazon. You could spend anywhere from probably $15 to $200 something on a bridge, but I mean, even this one here, this is a brand new Fender one that I got for the other guitar, and this was only like $30 or something, or $25. So there's really no need for all that. But screw holes line up good. So this can probably just pop right in. So let me get these other screws here. There you go. Now you don't want to tighten these the whole way because you want to have it some give. So that way the tremolo actually works, or else it's going to be flush against the body. Also, I say that like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. I've actually never installed a tremolo bridge like this. And the other guitars that I've done, they've all been flat, like up against the body ones. So, and I usually don't even use the trem like almost ever on a Strat. So I don't know. I might put this flush. We'll see. If I can't get it set up right, I'll just put it flush. But this is why I'm making these videos, because I'm learning as I go. And, you know, it is intimidating to like not know what you're doing and like take apart guitars. And I mean, even if it's not guitars, it's anything that you want to do or work on. Like, it is always intimidating at first, but you never really know until you do it. You never know like what you can do and what it's like. And the best way to learn, at least for me, is just experiment, you know? And yeah, I could have taken this to like a guitar shop or something and have them do it, but what fun is that? I think that's good. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But now, I think it's probably safe to put these springs back on. And I did get new springs. But I'm saving, look at these bad boys. These red springs. These are going to be so sick. I haven't even opened these. Oh, yeah, I have. No, I haven't. But look at this. If I can get one out without like ruining it. Look at that. That's going to look awesome on the other guitar. But these are for that one, so we'll get to that one. So I don't want to use those on here. So I'm going to use, we'll just try it with the 3 for now and see how that goes. So I'm going to start with the center one. You just kind of pull it and push it in there, just like that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but pretty simple. You hook like that, and then you could just pull it up and push it into this little slot for it. And then we'll do this one. Last one. So I had 5 springs on here before because I wanted to keep the bridge flush. So I didn't really use the tremolo, but we'll try 3 at first. If I don't like it, we can always go back and add more springs, and that'll hold it pretty tight. So the other thing that we were gonna do before we get to the setup here is swap out this jack. Oh, so this is the whammy bar. Go in there, and the so pretty neat. But let's do this. And this should be pretty easy too, because all this is just this little jack here, and you can usually get this. Probably use a wrench or socket or something to get that off, but whatever, that'll work. So just pop that off like that, pop that out, boom. There you go. So that's the old one. That's gonna go on the other guitar, so that's getting reused. And then this actually came with a jack as well, but I'm going to leave everything leave everything soldered so I don't have to redo all that, and just reuse this jack on the other guitar. Actually, I don't know if that's even gonna fit. Maybe we won't. What I'll do is it's just gonna go in here like this. Ooh, it's a little bit of a tight squeeze. I'm gonna have to thread this like a little bit just to get this on here. But it's going. But I have to get enough thread on the outside to have the bolt hold on there. So get that in there like this. Oh no. It's like not gonna fit. I mean, I could. I've seen other people do this, and I've actually been curious to try it. And I do want to have black hardware, so maybe I'll just give that a shot on this guitar. But I've seen, so the jacks usually go like this, where you plug it in like that. But one of the things is if you ever have like a right angle 1/4-inch cable, it kind of is awkward going into here. So I've seen some people flip this around and do it like this, so where you can, and it sort of protrudes out a little bit. It's interesting. I don't hate it, but I think that if I did that, I would actually get this to work today, which is what I want to do. You can make plans for what you want to do, and you know, the situation dictates otherwise. And also, I have these chrome screws that came out. I'm gonna swap these out for black screws. The screws that are on the Pickguard are old, rusty. They used to be chrome, but they're like almost black. They're so rusty now. And I thought about swapping those out, but I was like, you know what? It's pretty vintage. I think I'll keep it. Pretty industrial looking. Man, and that's not even the same size. Scratching it all up, but that's okay. This thing's here to get used, you know what I mean? It's not here to like win a beauty contest. And if you're gonna have a scratch in your guitar, it might as well be on the input jack. And this is the reverse side anyways, so the holes line up. It was the angle of that, like, I don't know, how would you even describe this? The convexity, concavity, I don't know. Yeah, peep that. So Now we have inverted input jack, black on this thing. And I honestly don't know if I like it or not. It is definitely interesting. So, bridge is on here. The jack is hooked up. Now we can actually get to setting up the guitar. And quit playing tiddlywinks, sort of clean up my mess a little bit here. So now what is next is I want to adjust the truss rod. So in order to do that, the way I do it is I'll put the strings on first, pretty loose, and then we press down on the first fret and the last fret, and we just take a look at the gap. So right now, the truss rod this neck is very flat. So when you play it, the strings are getting very close to the upper frets, and it's causing some buzzing noise. So what we got to do is adjust it to bring, when you adjust it, it either brings the neck up like this or pulls it back away. So we want to bring it up. I don't know if technically that's tightening it or loosening it, but that's what we do. Let's get to it. Strings. So for strings, I usually use, I used to use Ernie balls, but I switched to these D'Addario string sets here. So this is for my baritone, I believe. Those are pretty thick gauge. Those are 13s. And then I have 11s and 10s. So 11s I'm using for, these are medium top, heavy bottoms. I'm using these for like my more metal guitars, the Fender Talon, anything that I'm playing like drop C or lower, I'll use these. But for my regular guitars, this one will probably be tuned standard. So I'm just gonna put 10s on here. I used to go with 9s, but 9s are a little light for me these days, so I like the 10s. Also, I like how they're colored on the end, so if you like have them exposed, depending on what type of guitar you're using, it just looks pretty cool sometimes. So the guitar is now restrung, but as you can hear, probably, I mean, look at that action. So low. This truss rod definitely needs to come up a bit. And look, yeah, I don't know technically whether it's called tightening the truss rod or loosening the truss rod when I'm adjusting it, but I know like what I'm trying to do. So I'm not making this video or this channel to be like an authority on proper ways to set up a guitar. I'm just having fun and tinkering. We want to go counterclockwise to reduce relief, I believe. And you want to take it kind of slow, just like little turns at a time. And I always would get really nervous doing this. But, you know, these things are pretty resilient. I think you'll be okay. Another turn. So I push down on the first fret and on the last fret, and there should be a gap in the middle. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but you push down on the last fret, and then on my hand up here, I'm pushing down on the first fret, like right there, like this. And then when you're holding them both down, if it's too much tightness in the truss rod, then the strings are going to be touching these frets here. And you want just a little bit of gap because you want it to have a slight, like, you know, so that way you can play, it has action the whole way without buzzing. So this one, it looks like I have a little bit of a gap now, but it's not fully like where I want it. So I'm just going to do another just quarter turn. And I've got a little bit of a gap there. I think that'll be okay. I didn't really raise the action at all on the bridge, which is another step to take. So I'm going to do that really quick. And by raising these little screws right here, you can bring these up and bring the string height up here. So it just kind of adds some distance. And I prefer to do this, you know, obviously before you intonate, because intonation is kind of the last step. And I think that's right, sounds right. Now string height wise on the bridge, the way I like it, and again, this is my own personal preference, so I'm not like a guitar expert or anything like that. I've just played them a bunch. So the way I prefer it is sort of the strings to go almost like this little, a very, very subtle like arch a little bit. You know, you don't want to have like this one right here is lower than these two. You don't want that. I would rather these two be just slightly higher than these two, and then these two be on the end. So it's kind of got like a natural like arch to it. And nothing drastic, like it's very, very subtle. I mean, when you look at it, it almost looks like they're completely flush with one another. But I would rather have like just a little bit of an arch like that than to have like a string that's like too low or out of place. But I'm just setting this up to how I know I want to play it. Ultimately, this guitar is going to stay in the rotation with me forever probably, because this body is from my first guitar, and I don't ever want to sell my first guitar because everybody just talks about how much they regret selling their first guitar, and it's a made in Mexico standard Strat, so I wouldn't even really get much for it anyways. All right, so my high E string is still pretty low. Bring it up a little bit more. Okay, so what I do usually now is once I get the string height to an area that I think is good, and right now it is, or the truss rod, you know, I push on the first fret, push on the last fret, I see a tiny, tiny gap between the string and the frets in the middle, which is what I'm looking for. I mean, it's a noticeable gap. I mean, you could fit like a piece of paper in the gap there, a couple millimeters or a millimeter maybe, I don't know, but there is a tiny visible gap, which is good. You don't want to go too much, obviously, because that would be bad. Your action's going to be super high. But when I look at this guitar right now, I mean, I don't know if you could see that, but that action is just super low. And then when I play it, I'm getting a hair of a buzz, not much. But if I bring this string height here up on the bridge, just like a half turn for each of these strings, then I'm not going to have any buzz at all, and my action's going to be super low, and this thing's going to play like a freaking dream. So I just took every string, just brought it up half turn. So I'm getting no buzz. Maybe a little bit right there. So I'm going to, bottom two are okay. I'm going to bring these middle two up just a hair again. Just another half turn on each side. So now that I've got it kind of how I want it. I'm gonna bring up these top two just like a quarter turn probably, just because I brought up the rest of them. And I do want them to be flush. Even though I wasn't getting noise, it's okay if they're a little bit higher. Again, action is still, if you look, action is still really low. Whoops. So, but I'm not getting any buzz, which is what I want. Low action, no buzz. All right. And now, finally, we are at the stage where our truss rod is adjusted, our string height is adjusted, and now we can intonate the guitar. So this is the last step, and this isn't as bad as you may think. So all you need for this is just a guitar tuner. So you plug in, and let me bring this out here so you can see. So see if that's visible. So yeah. So what you want to do is pretty much just tune the guitar. So I want to tune this to E standard. There we go. Okay, so now here is how you check the intonation. It's very complicated. If you're playing the E string, it's tuned to E. Let's get it actually tuned to E on the nose. Okay. When you push it on the 12th fret, 1 octave up, it should be on the nose. And as you can see, it's a little sharp. So if it's sharp, then we need to get a screwdriver, which I need this. And if it's sharp, that means that the distance is too short. You want to extend that distance from the 12th fret to here to make it come down a little bit so it is actually the same as when you're playing it open. So in order to do that, we will turn clockwise to tighten this screw, and it's going to bring this piece back and give more distance on the string to lower the tone that it's playing, or the note that it's playing. And every time you do this, by the way, it's going to completely mess up your tuning, so you're gonna have to retune it. So E, now 12th fret, see, it's still a little sharp. Now, when I've watched videos on this in the past, I've heard people say, you know, do small turns, you know, it goes a long way. But from my experience, it doesn't. I feel like you have to give it quite a few turns to get it to like actually move to where you want it to go here. So tune it to E again. Look at that. So E might be a little bit flat. E. That's pretty close. So now let's do the next string. A. That one sounds pretty good, actually. I mean, that one's good too. So off to G string now. That's definitely a little sharp, so we're gonna go ahead and tighten this one a bit. Again, you're tightening the screw because you're bringing this back, creating more distance. So I'm gonna go with a few turns because it was pretty sharp. Retune this to G. And be careful on these upper strings. the smaller strings. Be careful on them because as you tighten this, it is stretching that string out more, so it's pulling the note higher. So these things are already kind of on the verge of snapping sometimes when you first string them up and tighten them. So I've had strings snap while intonating before, so just be careful when you're tightening. So there we go. Now we've got G. I'm gonna put it right back on the nose here. Perfect octave. So now we'll do the B string here. And we're almost done. That one is a little sharp. I'm actually gonna lower the tension on the string before I tighten this, just like I was saying. You just wanna be careful about your tension and not snapping strings. See, that one, just this couple turns brought it all the way from a low flat B to a C. There we go. And this is the one you gotta watch out for. That one's a little sharp as well, so we're gonna bring that in a little bit. Just like maybe like a turn and a half. Okay, it's still a little sharp, so bring that in a little bit more. Okay, so now should be pretty close to intonated. So, and when I play on the 12th fret, it should all be in tune as well. So perfect E, pretty close to a perfect A, but yeah, it's a little flat, so let's bring that up. A should be perfect. Perfect. D, G, okay, so now this guitar is intonated and we've got a little bit of raised trem. So one way that we could fix that is to put some additional springs on the back. And it's going to bring this bridge down, but I actually like having my bridge raised a little bit because I don't usually put the trem arm on there, the whammy bar. Some of the ways that I used to play it is I was like play a note and push down on this bridge and get that same kind of effect. So I'm going to try that out actually. I'm just going to leave this as is. That's a little bit higher than what you want. You don't want it to be like sticking up like that. But like I said, it's a quick fix. I mean, we will have to sort of reset up the intonation probably if we bring that bridge down, but it should be pretty good. So even if we play like chords up in the top, like we're not, no buzzing at all. So this guitar now is set up perfectly to play great, just depending on how much you want that bridge to be up. But yeah, I'm going to leave it for now and give this thing a nice wipe down. And this thing will be ready to rejoin the rack downstairs. So typically how I do this, I got some Gibson polish. Just give it a couple squirts. Take a nice rag here, give it a wiping. And just kind of get all the fingerprints and gunk off of it that you got built up on it while you were moving it all around. And then I'm going to hit it with this microfiber real quick as well, just to get, so this rag sometimes leaves a little bit of fuzzies behind, so this will get all that stuff off. Make it real nice and shiny. Flip it around. And I did kind of wipe it down a little bit before, but I'm just gonna get the body real quick. I'm not really worrying about like the neck or anything like that. This pickguard's new already, so it's okay, but just want to have the body looking nice. And wipe it down with the microfiber. Get that fuzzies off of there. All right. There we go. Now, let's take this thing downstairs and check it out. Here it is, finished product. And I think this looks really good. So this is set up perfectly exactly how I like it. The action, it just feels really good. No noise, no like hitting on the fretboard like it was doing before after releasing some of that tension on the truss rod. I think with the all black hardware, looks super, super slick. The cream pickups. It is a 1985 Fender Boxer Series Stratocaster made in Japan neck. So it's got a true rosewood fretboard, a nice solid black finish on the back, which is just beautiful. It blends in with that body just so well. And yeah, the pickups in it, they're just standard from a 2008 made in Mexico Strat. They're the ones that came with this body. So they're just ceramic pickups, but I actually like the ceramic pickups. They're a little bit hotter and a little bit more trebly, like just got a little bit more bite to them than the Alnico ones that they use that are like the better ones, the more vintage sounding. So those are going to be more dynamic. These ones are more like aggressive, and this just fits my play style. So I like it. Everything else, all these other internals, so like the knobs, the switches, and everything are all from the original guitar that this came in. This pickguard, it's the reason why I was calling it the Deco Strat. This is from a company called Decoboom, and this is like, I don't know, the Art Deco pickguard or whatever, but it's just a really cool design. And when I was shopping around for new pickguards for this, I was trying to find something unique, and this one definitely caught my eye, and I thought it fit this guitar perfectly. Before I put this neck on here, it was a maple neck with a maple fretboard. So it's just very boring, you know, it had a white pickguard, very boring looking classic Strat look. I swapped out the white pickguard for a mint green pickguard that I used for a couple years, and then ended up going to like this weird carved wooden one, and didn't really like that either. But I knew I do like the black on the Sunburst look, and then when I found this one, it was just game over. So that like double cream pinstripe with the cream color pickguards covers that I put on there, and then also that Fender, I don't know if you could see it or not, but there's a Fender logo on this black neck plate. So I do actually really like this inverted pickup input right here. I think I'm gonna keep it. I know I wasn't planning on doing that, but now that it's there, I like it. So I think that's gonna stay. When I finish a guitar, I usually slap the Midwest Coast logo on it somewhere. And this one, I believe now is finished. So I was thinking back of the headstock would be a good spot for this. There's this like quality control sticker on here from literally 35 years ago. Actually, no, more than that, from 40 years ago, because this guitar is from, this neck is from 1985. So, let me scrape that off real quick. I just ruined its value because the quality control sticker is not on there anymore. And one of the things about the Boxer series that what this neck came off of is the serial number on those guitars was actually on the neck plate. So this guitar neck has no serial number, and it would have been on the neck on this guitar. So there's no serial number on this guitar, so I'm gonna have to give it one. And because I've already called a guitar the number 1 on this channel, I'm gonna make this one number 0. So this is the body of my original Strat that I got, my first guitar, and you know, I've modded it out, and it's unrecognizable from what it was. So I'm gonna go ahead and slap this on here. I think maybe do like an angle. Yeah, right like that. I already wiped it down with the rag. Do right like perfect. So as you can probably tell from this video and some of the things that I did while, you know, doing this guitar, it's not really necessarily by the books around here. This is more of like a DIY like ethos. So if you're not into that, that's okay. But it's the kind of stuff that I like to do. I don't like rules. I like to figure things out as I go. And yeah, that's what these guitars are gonna be. Figuring it out as we go. And just doing fun stuff and cool stuff with them. And I think I said this before, but nobody's getting this guitar. This is mine. So I could do whatever I want with it. If I'm doing a build for somebody else, then I'll be a little bit more careful. We finished. That's how you set up a guitar. That's how you change the bridge, sort of. That's how you put a pickup in, sort of. Or not a pickup, but a, what's that called? An input jack. This is going to be a great video. The Artcaster. This is the number 0 Midwest Coast Custom Shop build. But yeah, there she is.